Quick disclaimer, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here should be considered financial advice. Always do your own research and understand the risks before investing.
Welcome back, everyone, to a Bitcoin update. So what a very nice move to the downside that we have been having in this sell-off. Like we were saying in the last couple of videos, we had this 5-wave move down and we had that 3-wave move up. We were tracking whether or not this would all just be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move down, and then we could possibly bounce off from the trend line at 67,000. But we broke below that trend line, and like I said, if we break below that trend line in a decisive break, then it becomes very apparent that we are indeed in this larger degree third wave, and all of this was indeed the 5-wave move down, and just all of this was the 3-wave move up. So played out very nicely. Shouldn't be too much of a surprise if you have watched some of our videos. We have been literally talking about this since the 22nd of March, so about a little less than a week. We were kind of talking about this possible move. We were expecting a possible bounce up. We got that bounce up, then we got a rejection from resistance, a break below the trend line, and now we are heading lower, so not super surprising. Now I have this resistance zone added, as well as our indicator of what would indeed break this pattern. Right now, obviously, the lower that this goes here, we're just assuming it bottomed here, then this is the resistance between 67,000 to that 70,000 range. However, if we go lower, then obviously this resistance zone would also go lower. So all this could be a first wave, a second wave, and then we could be in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave in a possible third wave, and then we could have a 4th wave bounce, and then a final 5th wave to the downside, where the final question remains, is this all just a larger A, B, C, where this C wave is just a extended B wave? So this B wave we thought bottomed here is just going for a larger extension over here, which is why I have it labeled. Or are we going in a larger 5th wave, where all of this was just a 4th wave corrective bounce, and now we are indeed in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move down, where we can target that mid to high, or like low to high 50s for Bitcoin. And that's why I have this final support zone right here between 60,000 to 63,000. A break below this support zone and then this swing low at 60,000, well, then that would pretty much invalidate this B wave bounce. This extended B wave. If we do see a reaction and we see a 5-wave move up and a 3-wave move down, well, then that would get pretty interesting, and that would be very nice to see, and more of a indicator, or at least more weight on it, that we are just indeed in this extended B wave and not in this larger degree 5th wave. So we won't really know what is playing out until we see this reaction between this support zone. So that should be pretty interesting to see. If we see only a 3-wave move and then a sharp rejection, well, then it becomes very apparent that we are indeed in this 5th wave. It just adds more weight to it, but we obviously won't get that validation till we break below support in this swing low. Now, obviously, if we break above support in this swing high, well, then this obviously invalidates this situation. So that's why I wanted to add these on here, just so you can have some of our levels of invalidation as well. But overall, it hasn't really been too surprising to see this happen. We've literally been talking about this for a little less than a week. So if we go over to the RSI, not for Bitcoin, but for oil, because I wanted to say a possible, for those that I want to go to a little bit of technical analysis of why this could be happening. Well, 1, oil is going up. 2, the Fed is they're turning a little bit more hawkish. So there's more of a chance now that they raise rates or keep rates steady than they do for lowering rates. So that's another reason why Bitcoin is dumping, as well as stocks. Obviously, stocks, S&P, all those stocks have hit many new all-time highs, and it's not really surprising to see that larger correction that could be taking place. And oil is starting to go up with the escalation of the Iran war, a lot of uncertainty. So that is starting to become more of a factor too as well. But here's something I do want to point out, obviously this is not financial advice, but it just adds a little bit more weight to just this possible extended B wave, and then we could possibly start working on a larger move to the upside. Obviously it will be very choppy like how it was for back here. Obviously as if we break below support and that swing low, well then obviously this invalidates it. This is just where my mind is right now and what I could possibly see happening. So I do see continued maybe a short-term bounce, and then I do see us reaching this zone between 60,000 to 63,000, and that would obviously, assuming oil would go up from that with the war escalation. And my point is, things can only get so bad before they finally get good. So things can only become so overbought. Things can only go up so much, which is why I have the oil chart on here. Things can only drop so much, and the RSI can only be oversold so much before things start to get a little better. So I do know it can be very frustrating for those that weren't aware of this and are now just seeing this, but things typically, not guaranteed obviously, it's just my opinion, but things typically get a little worse before they get better. So what would a little worse be? Well, a little worse would be a 3-wave rally in the resistance, another sharp decline where we test this support zone, and then we can start possibly having a 5-wave move bounce off it and a 3-wave move down. What would that look like for oil? Well, things would probably keep rising. Maybe we retest some of these highs up here. Things can only get so much worse before they finally get better. Maybe oil can start dropping. Maybe there's some better news coming out. I mean, when you have a basically full out missile crisis going back and forth in the Middle East, oil is rising, stocks and crypto are dumping. I mean, this can only go on for so long with hitting oversold before it gets better. Now, this could be, take this with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion, my thought process. We very well could be in this extended 5th wave, and that it has a good amount of weight that we could actually be in this 5th wave, and we just break below support and we get one more low and oil skyrockets and stocks keep dumping. That's just that's a totally possible scenario as well. So take this with just take it with a grain of salt, not to be taken super seriously, but just a thought process behind it. Things will only get so much worse before they get better. But like I said, grain of salt, look at price action and see how it reacts to it. Now on the liquidity, kind of shows the same thing too. Maybe we just go liquidate this zone between that 60 to 63,000 and we come back and start to liquidate these. Well, the liquidity shows that same perspective that I have right now. Things will only get worse before they finally get better. If we go over to the heat maps, let's go to the 2-week, for example. If we put this to 75, I mean, there's definitely a small amount below us, but majority of it is above us. So it just makes me lean a little bit more towards just this extended B wave scenario, and then we could possibly have that same choppy movement back up like we were having over here. So it's not going to be a straight path up. It will indeed be choppy, very similar to these movements over here. But just wanted to point that out as well. And another thing that has actually happened is we have broke this daily trend line that Bitcoin has bounced off of multiple times, which is what we were talking about. So maybe I'm completely wrong, and we go back up, test the support zone, and we get rejected, and we do indeed start that 5th wave. That's totally possible. But if we go over to here, just so you can see this as well for the RSI, I mean, clearly hitting oversold on the 4-hour, and on the 1-hour we are heavy oversold as well. And on the daily, we already broke below some of these swing lows on the RSI and are starting to go lower. And we also did break below swing low. So it just adds weight to, hey, maybe things will only get a little bit worse before they finally start to get better. But take that with a grain of salt. Don't let it be the total solution. All I can really look at is price action, liquidity, RSI, different indicators just at this point in time, and try to make a possible roadmap that could happen, but obviously not guaranteed. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for this video. Thanks for watching. We will see you next time.